What's up, guys? AJ's Modern Retro here, and I'm sure, like all of you, I've been playing the Battlefield 2042 open beta for the past few days. Now, I have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, so I was able to play it through EA Play instead of pre-ordering it, which is really nice for me. Working man that doesn't have a lot of money to throw around. Can't just go dropping $70 on, the newest game every time it comes out. Anyway, I've been playing it for a few days now, and I've come up with a couple things that are good, bad, and a little nitpick that I think needs to be resolved that isn't difficult to resolve at all. Is kind of a forethought, kind of a beginning thought, overarching thought. The beta has been really, really good. There are a lot of things I do like. There's a couple things I don't like. We'll get more into detail of that here in a bit. But overall, beta has been really fun, really engaging. And if they fix the small things that I think need to be fixed, then this game's going to be fantastic. So let's start off with the good, of course. First and foremost, the game is gorgeous. Now, there's a caveat to this. The game files, the open beta download is only 18 gigabytes total, which means that we're probably not getting the full resolution files because the game is more than likely going to be over 100 gigs or close to it by the time when it releases. So at 18 gigs on one map, you're probably getting most of that coming from Orbital, the single map, the assets for the guns and everything, and then maybe resolution ground texture, ground textures and stuff. And that's where I see a lot of the graphical infidelity coming from, is the grass and trees and stuff like that. And I think that was done intentionally to keep the game running as good as it can. And that brings us to our next point. For what DICE has done in doubling the player count from previous Battlefield games. So instead of going from 32 against 32, you're now going 64 against 64 for 128 players. For them doing that, this is their very first time doing that. The network performance has been really, really good, and the game optimization has been pretty good as well. I do experience some dips here and there while playing, but nothing so bad that it makes me want to turn off the game. It's, for the most part, very consistent, very stable, and only every once in a while do I experience some sort of insane situation. Talking about the guns and their responsiveness and how they feel really responsive and really good, and this kind of goes into my one nitpick that I have, is the guns, while sounding meaty and they sound, like an actual gun should for the most part, they're a little underpowered TTK-wise. The M5A3, which is your base M4 style rifle, it takes quite a bit of shots to kill somebody, and you have to be very consistent in your aiming, which is kind of annoying given the weapon it is. Also, the most egregious point I can talk about is the SWS-10, I think it's called, the sniper rifle, is extremely underpowered. It's a bolt-action sniper rifle, and it takes 2 shots to kill from really any distance, and the only way to get a one-shot kill is a headshot. So the guns do feel a little underpowered. The TTK, at least to me, is a little high. It's a little long, so you shorten that down a little bit, so firefights can become very quick and very brutal, and you really have to watch what you're doing. As far as bugs go, I haven't experienced any big crashes or meltdowns or anything catastrophic. I have experienced the common, bugs and glitches that everyone has been experiencing. So, when you would press B and spawn something in, sometimes it just won't work. It'll just close the laptop and then you can't spawn something in. Or sometimes the ranger dog will work and the recon truck won't, or something like that. I've experienced the glitch where you spec out a weapon with the plus system. We'll talk about the plus system here in a minute. A specific way, and then it doesn't work. It won't save after you die. It just reblanks the gun upon respawn. I haven't experienced that one a ton. I've experienced a couple times. I've had some friends that I've been playing with that have experienced it way more than me. But let's get on to kind of the big thing with 2042, which is the new dynamic weather/map events that are happening in the game, aka the tornado and the rocket. Both of them are incredible. Both of them are way less gimmicky than I thought they would be. I was super afraid that the tornado was going to be extremely gimmicky and just not entertaining. But every time I've seen it and it's interacted with the map, it's great. The fact that it spawns from any which way of the map is awesome. It spawns at any point in the map at any time in a game. Sometimes you'll see it, sometimes you won't. And you never know where it's going to come from. That's really awesome. But what was more impressive to me than the tornado was the explosion of the rocket. Because the fact that I can hear it, like I can really hear the explosion on the other side of the map. Like if I'm on the back corner of C2, I can still hear it. Or if I'm all the way on the edge of the map on A1, I can still hear the explosion, and it sounds really, really cool. And you can kind of hear the percussive shockwave of the explosion, which is really, really awesome that they got that they were able to put that in there. So dynamic weather / map events are incredible in this game. It was a fantastic addition, and I'm really stoked to see what these other maps might have in store, because every map, as far as I know, has its own event. So some maps might have the tornado, but they also might have something else that's exclusive to that map. So really stoked to see what DICE has cooked up for the other maps specifically. Now, getting to the plus system that I talked about earlier, it's awesome. It's really, really great. The fact that I can adapt to any sort of environment that I might find myself in, any sort of scenario on the fly, is super helpful. And that way you don't have to, like, if you want to go cap a point, you don't have to, like, redeploy and then spec your gun out and then drop back in just to go fight in one specific area. The fact that I can just switch on the fly, that's setting a standard right there. I can tell you right now, no one else is going back to the old way of doing it. They're going to keep that forever. The vehicle deployment system is great when it works. That's probably the most consistent area for bugs to pop up, is spawning and vehicle deployment. So if I want to put down the recon little side-by-side 4x4 thing, it doesn't always work. I'll press B and then it'll bring the laptop up. I'll click the recon vehicle and then it'll just close the laptop and I can't do it. That happens a lot. But when it works, it's great. It's a super cool addition, and I don't think that's really going to be a problem in the final game. Again, none of the bugs that I've seen in the beta, I don't think are going to be big problems when the game launches. They're all very small bugs. And from what I know, this is like a 3-month-old build of the game. So the most recent builds of the game and the final release of the game more than likely will not have these bugs in it. So those are my pluses. Guns feeling nice and responsive. Network performance and game optimization is pretty good, given that it's a beta with 128 players, and it's their first time doing that. That's pretty impressive. Plus system is great. Dynamic weather events and map events are great. So let's get on to the bad. Now, there's not a whole lot of bad here. A lot of it's really small stuff, nothing huge. The biggest thing that I've seen so far, and I think this is more so a product of new players coming to the beta than it actually being the game. There's a lack of cohesion on a lot of the games. Like, people are just kind of running around and doing things. No one's really focused, and I think that's just because it's a beta in a brand new game. And a lot of people are playing Battlefield for the first time, and so there's a lot of just running around and chaos. And it's not controlled chaos like how Battlefield should be. It's just straight up Armageddon. No one's healing anybody, and it's just insanity. So I think that's just more so the fact of it being a beta, and it's free to download and play, so everyone's playing it, and people that don't play Battlefield really are playing it, so they know what they're doing. Specialists. Now, my complaint with specialists isn't the specialists themselves, in the sense that they suck to use. I like the fact that I can customize these specialists to kind of be whatever I want them to be. But after talking with some friends in the Discord I'm in last night, we kind of came to the conclusion that they're just really unoriginal right now. There's no sense of individuality among these specialists. Now, that could just be, again, it's a beta. There's no cosmetic stuff involved. But what I want them to do, what I hope they do eventually, is give us like different versions of a specialist. So like for the medic, there's like a couple of different people you can choose from or something like that. My golden dream would be character creation. Like you can make your own character, but that's not going to happen. But from a gameplay standpoint, they don't bother me. From a cosmetic standpoint, there's not a lot of individuality, and I would like to see that change. I would say probably the biggest problem in the beta right now that I'm seeing is the desync in vehicles is kind of nuts. Specifically air vehicles. There's a lot of desync. Like you'll see a plane flying and then it'll just teleport. I don't know how much of that is DICE is in and how much of that is just players playing with dog water internet. It could be kind of a mix. In fact, that's probably what it is. But if they could get that cleaned up a little bit and have, you know, that work a little better by final release, again, that'd be great. But not a huge thing. I'm an infantry player mostly, so it doesn't concern me all that much. And they don't, actually, something interesting, there's not a lot of desync among ground vehicles, so I don't know what's going on with the air vehicles. But moving on to bugs, so like I talked about before, there's a lot of small bugs and glitches and kind of little desync issues that pop up because it's a beta and, you know, again, 3-month-old build, but just a lot of little bugs and glitches like the not saving your loadout when you die and your gun resetting and some spawns not working how they should and, you know, the vehicle menu, vehicle laptop thing not working out. But again, those are very little things that they could easily fix for the final release. In fact, they probably already fixed them in the most recent builds of the game, so I'm not too concerned about it. And I would say my one TTK, or my one nitpick is, again, I talked about it a little bit before, the TTK being a little long for the kind of weaponry we're using. As someone who shot AR-15s in modern bolt-action rifles, as I'm sure a lot of you probably have, these weapons are very powerful and they hit hard. So to have these weapons take like half a mag basically to put someone down is kind of ridiculous. They definitely need to lower the TTK a little bit, but if they don't, it's not going to be like a deal breaker for me. Again, kind of the whole overarching thing with the negatives here is that none of it right now is anything that could turn me off completely from the game. All of it's very small stuff that's very easily fixed. So, kind of right now, I guess if I had to give it a score and wrap everything up, I'd say the beta right now is about a 6.5 out of 10. It's definitely fun. It's definitely engaging. You're going to have those battlefield moments for sure. I had one yesterday, or 2 days ago, that I didn't capture. I blew up a moving helicopter with a non-guided RPG, and I freaked out. And I didn't record it. I'm slapping myself for it. But overall, 6.5 out of 10. The final release could easily be a 7.5 to 8 out of 10 if those small bugs are fixed by release. And if you lower the TTK just a little bit, I would be extremely happy. DICE has definitely got a really good foot forward with this game, and I can't wait to see what it's like on November 17th when it drops. This has been Ages Modern Retro. Thanks for guys checking out the channel. See you guys next time.